Hey friends, hey family, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Crystal Blue. I do Christian content and I also do what's called the Word of the Day. I also have videos and shorts of me and my family having fun together. So if you like what you see and hear, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For those of you returning, happy Saturday. Hope everybody's having a wonderful, blessed Saturday. I know I am. You got started a little bit too early because for whatever reason, the kids decide to wake up at 5:30 on a Saturday, which is crazy because on the weekdays when I have to get them up for school, I have to literally shake them awake because they want to sleep in. But on the weekend, when it's time to sleep in, they want to wake up at 5:30. Anyway, they're napping. So now it's time for my favorite part of the day, the word of the day. So today we're going to talk about something that is just common. One word, greed. I was reading in First Timothy chapter 6 verses 2 through 10. I always wondered where this verse came from because people say it and misquote it all the time and they don't know what it really means because they read it out of context like so many other verses in the Bible. But today we're just going to talk about greed because in this particular part of First Timothy chapter 6, he's talking about false teachers and the love of money. And that made me think about some churches that I attended years ago as a teenager with my family, where there were these big, mega churches. And these pastors had all these chains and these gold watches, and they had bodyguards, and they just had all this stuff. And I'm like, does a pastor really need all that? And he drove like all these different Benzes and all these, Audis and all these nice luxury cars. And I'm thinking, wow, where are they getting all this money from? Isn't it obvious when you're giving the love offering, the anniversary offer, all these different offerings? Like, where do you think that money's going? In their pockets, right? So it made me think of this other lady that I follow on YouTube. Her name is Wisdom Speaks. That's the name of her channel. And she talked about false prophets and who you should give your money to. She said there are a lot of people out there preaching the word and saying, oh, if you give $100 by this time, the Lord is going to bless you. Oh, if you do this, she was like, no, you don't fall into that trap. She said we need to be giving to the poor and the needy people we see out on the street corners that have signs. Those are the people we need to be helping. And I read about that probably a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about if you bypass these people, the homeless, the hungry, the sick people who are in jail, God says, that's me. You're bypassing me. So this lady from the channel Wisdom Speaks, she was talking about that. She said, don't be giving your money to these false prophets, all these pastors that are sitting there wearing all this gold and jewelry with bodyguards, because they're not even the real thing. They're not legit. You should be putting your money into things that matter, like certain charities, maybe causes for cancer, and even volunteering at a or giving to a food bank or serving the hungry, anything like that. That's meaningful. Other people out here using God to profit off of him, and that's wrong. And that's what it speaks about in First Timothy. And I'm going to read it to you. And we are going to read that one verse that everybody misreads and misquotes. So it's First Timothy chapter 6, starting verse 2 through 10. It says, these are the things you are to teach and insist on. If anyone teaches otherwise and does not agree to the sound instruction of our Lord Jesus Christ and to godly teaching, they are conceited and understand nothing. They have an unhealthy interest in controversies, quarrels about words that result in envy, strife, malicious talk, evil suspicions, and constant friction between people of corrupt minds who have been robbed of the truth of who have or who they think is godly and what it means to have financial gain. But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into the world and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap and into many foolish, harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. You heard the verse, verse 10. I'll read it again. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. People misquote that verse all the time. They say, oh, you know, money is evil. Oh, money is the root of all evil. It's not money that's the root of all evil. It's the love of money. And that's where people stumble and go astray. They get greedy. And some of them use the Lord because they know that people are very gullible. And they'll sit there and say, well, if I can talk about God and make them believe all this stuff that's probably not even true, but maybe a little bit of it's true, I can profit off of them. Meanwhile, the people in the church are sitting here giving and giving and giving, and they can barely, afford food and keep their lights on, and they're struggling to pay their bills. But yet the pastor is living it up and has a place down in the Bahamas and drives 3 Mercedes and has like a private jet. Why is that? None of that makes sense. All of that is greed. The love for money is the root of all kinds of evil. And it is. And it's so unfortunate because money was meant to be a currency to help us get the things that we need, like food and clothing and shelter. But people just get greedy. And I felt like it was just so important to talk about this because when it comes to greed, and like I was saying about these pastors out there who are acting like they're holy and godly, and they're not. They're about as deep, as a puddle. So be careful who you listen to. And I know I spoke about that the other day. Be careful who you're listening to. Be mindful of your surroundings. If you're going to go visit a church for the first time, look at it and take it in and see what's really going on and find out, is this really legit? Or are these people just, as I used to say, faking the funk? Are they trying to act like they're somebody that they're not and trying to profit off of you? I would steer away from churches like that. And I'm not saying all big mega churches are this way, but the ones that I visited in the past, they were like that. So I said all that to say greed is a real thing. So just be mindful of where you're going, who you're talking to, and who you're listening to. And let's, just like Timothy said, let's just be content with the things that God has blessed us with. We don't need these big mansions and these nice cars. It's just nice to have food and shelter and have a car that works. We should be blessed just for like just the meager, the small things. All these other big things, if they do come your way in life, it's a blessing. But you know what? It's not needed. It's just the icing on the cake. We should be thankful that God has given us food, shelter, and clothes on our back. And most of all, that we woke up to see another day and try another chance to get this thing called life right. All right. So that's what I want to speak about today. Again, the topic was greed, and that was from 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 2 through 10. I hope this one blessed you guys. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.